Hey guys, it's Sean here and from Micro Budget Film Lab, and I'm walking along here as I'm talking to you because I haven't done a video blog post in a couple weeks because I've been super busy, but I felt kind of bad that I hadn't done so. So I wanted to kind of bring you up to speed and talk about something that has been an experience actually in the last couple weeks that made me think about a general point that was worth making. And what happened was we lost our composer for our film. And so we had to find somebody else. And we had a kind of a period of panic. We're in the final stages of post-production. We finished color correct. We finished the picture lock for the movie. And really all that we have left to do is the composition. And then we can mix it and it'll be done. And we can start submitting it to festivals. So we're super excited. And right now I'm just off to read a script for the Micro Budget Film Lab Launchpad competition, which is almost done, and somebody pretty soon is going to win the $2,500 production investment in their micro budget film that we've been working on these scripts for like 4 months, and we've got some great scripts in. I'm pretty excited about some of the stuff that's come in, some really fresh, cool stories. But what I wanted to talk about today was not that, actually. I'm going to talk about that in the future. What I wanted to talk about is what to do when things go south on a micro budget film. And of course, it's on my mind because that just happened to us as far as music was concerned. And it's a general point because it happens all the time on micro budget films. You don't have the resources, you don't have the money to just throw at problems to solve them. And so that means that more problems come up because you're not paying people, or you're paying them very little, you're paying them an honorarium or deferred payments. And so you'll lose crew. You'll lose core people who are involved because they'll get jobs or other obligations will come up or other opportunities, and of course people have to take it. People have to put food on the table and whatnot. Or, as what happened with us, was our composer became unavailable because while we were paying him, more lucrative gigs came up and then they became unavailable, and so we had to find somebody else on the fly. Now the main thing is that you have to know this going into your shoot, going into post-production, and build it into your expectations. They say that you can do only 2 of 3 things when you make a movie, or when you do anything, probably. You can have fast, you can have good, or you can have cheap. And you can have 2 of those 3. You can have fast and cheap, but not good. Or you can have good and fast, but not cheap. In other words, you pay a lot. Or you can have good and cheap, but it's going to take a while. So you have to assume it's going to take a while, especially when you're relying on other people to do certain things. Our editing process took us the better part of a year. We were doing it remotely with an editor back in Canada who volunteered her time because she wanted the feature film credit for her reel and was interested in the project, liked the script and so on. But it meant that we had to do it over a period of months and months and months. The same thing happened with other elements of the post-production. But during the production itself, we had problems where, we had people who agreed to do things. People from production assistants to people within the art department. The art department was a real problem on the last film, keeping people. And so we had to replace people on the fly as we were in production. And so you need to build that in, both the awareness that it's going to take you longer, that it takes somebody to make a regular indie film that has, say, $1 million or even a couple $100,000 with which they can pay everybody. But also you need to know that it's going to take you a long time so that you don't panic and you don't get depressed. It means you can work on other projects while you're working on this one. So, I've got some scripts in development and some other projects in development while we've been working on our film right now, Fucking My Way Back Home. But on the set itself, I'm hoping I don't get run over or all my neighbors don't think I'm totally bananas walking down the street talking to myself. But while you're working on the set and you're losing people on the set, as will happen, you need to try to prepare in advance. So the best thing to do is to have backup people where possible. And if that's not possible, you need to think about what you will need to do to step in and replace that person. So for instance, on Fucking My Way Back Home, we had a wonderful production designer, but he got very busy. And so what he did was he prepared all the days, all the materials that would be needed those days with checklists and the boxes of the props. And we didn't have tons of props that we had to work with and keep track of. but we had some. And so that when he couldn't appear on set on those days, and there wasn't another set decorator around who could do it, then we could just go through the list and set it up. And so while he was missed, for sure, he had prepared us in advance so that those days when he got on call for a job, because Toronto is very busy right now because Netflix and Amazon and so on have really swarmed into Toronto because of the low dollar, because they're producing a lot of original content in the sort of competition war right now between Amazon and Netflix. So a lot of people, it was hard to find people. But we managed to make the film anyway, and it came out really well. We didn't, there was no days on set where we couldn't find stuff. Everything was very well organized. So plan in advance what you can do where people drop out. And people will drop out before production, during production, and sometimes after production, as happened with us with our composer. So don't let it knock your film off the rails, and know that you can push on through if you're ready for it and you build it into your plan. So this has been maybe a bit long and rambling because I'm going on a long and rambling trip down the hills of Granada here on my way to the office to read this script. But I hope it's helps you out if you're in this boat or if you've been through it. I'd love to hear your thoughts and love to see more about your movies. So drop me a line at admin@microbudgetfilmlab.com, and we'll talk again soon.